Yaakov,
Yeah.
which side of the fence are you on regarding taking a haircut to cover the 3 weeks?
That's a good thing, because I thought you were going towards the restaurant direction. I said, "Wow, I'm so impressed that nobody opened their mouths." So Baruch Hashem.
So why are you opening it?
No, he didn't ask about that. Me, I'm saying I'm being mishabeach the olam.
Okay.
Well, you just put it on the table.
No, now we're gonna go right back to your question. I don't know. Getting a haircut covered the 3 weeks. What does that mean?
I mean, if
Well,
it's
it's really just
said
'cause you
that there's
can't
a,
get one.
Covered Shabbos.
no. Everyone gets right before the 3 weeks. You get a haircut because the next 3 weeks you can't take one.
I don't know. I get a haircut every 3 months. I get a haircut every 3 months. So
whether you need it or not, right?
no, if I don't need it, I won't
Hold
get
on,
it.
Gershi, you get a report that somebody's about to die. You're not going to run and get a haircut.
Well,
Yeah,
if you get a
that's
haircut
little
every
bit
3 months, what's the difference? Chas v'shalom, Avelis or regular? No answer.
What?
He
What?
died.
I don't know what you asked.
Almost gets a haircut every 3 months.
No.
No, who said that?
Everybody gets different amounts of haircuts. I understand. People hold that you're supposed to get a haircut for the 3 weeks.
No, but people do
I don't
it.
think it's that they hold it. It's just a thing to get it done because you weren't paying attention that you need a haircut and said, "Oh my gosh, if I don't get it now,
First
I'm
of
going to
all,
look like a homeless person."
I can't tell you how many people asked me that they forgot to get a haircut. Can they still get a haircut? Plenty of people.
Are you allowed to text ha 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 ha? Or no?
No, I'm allowed to text it, but I don't.
It's not one of your auto responses?
It's not an auto response. That's built in. That's a built-in emoji, isn't it?
It's why I'm not a rabbi.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's go. Yeah. Where we at? Okay. Did it even come up on my phone? Didn't even come up on my phone. Okay, so we're continuing with muktza. Hold on a second. Because people are fasting. So just the chazak kuf chav dalet. So the Mishna says all utensils can be taken whether it's necessary or not. Right? Kill it. The Mechemi says it can only be moved for necessity. So we had a Machlokes what necessary and unnecessary mean, right? Which we would end up saying that we paskin that necessary means that klisha malachti leheter. If it's moved for heter, so then it's all right to do whatever you want with it. But a klisha malachti leisser, they think you can move it also, but only for a kufay, for a need or for its place, but you're not allowed to move it from the sun to the shade. That you're not allowed to do. Then the next Mishna says broken utensils can be moved on Shabbos as long as they're useful for something. The Yehuda says that pieces have to be useful for something similar to the original use of the utensil. Right? And the Gemara says Machlokes if these pieces were broken before Shabbos or after Shabbos, before Shabbos or on Shabbos. And we have 3 different opinions if broken utensils can be used as firewood on Yom Tiv. Fine. So now that leads us to the bricks Gemara. So it's about 12 lines up from the bottom. Amud Rav Nachman. Yeah, you see it? Kuf chav dalet amud beis. Amud Rav Nachman. Hani livni. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so Rav Nachman says that these what do you call it? Bricks. The ashturim binyanim, right? So you walk by a construction site. There's always bricks sitting around there. So there's bricks that the ashturim binyanim that are left over from a building. Shari l'tatalinu, you're allowed to move those bricks. Why? The chazalim is galayu. Because you can use them to sit. You can make yourself a little chair made out of bricks. So therefore, there is something useful with them. Sharginu v'adayaktinu. But if they're piled up very nicely, then l'chara those were not meant to be taken and not meant to be moved. And therefore, it's going to be for sure muktza. A small piece of cheres, small piece of earthenware, you're allowed to carry it in a chutzner of a carmelis light. But in a carmelis, which is something between a Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah, that you're not allowed to do. But Rav Nachman Didei Amar Afilu b'carmelis. Rav Nachman himself, he disagrees. And he says, even in a carmelis, al Rosh Hashanah, but not in Rosh Hashanah. what's with carrying in a carmelis? Why is he allowing it to be carried? He's only carrying it within 4 amas. He's not carrying it more than that. But he holds it even in Rosh Hashanah you're allowed to do it. Obviously less than 4 amas, right? Because otherwise it's carrying on Shabbos. Just because it's not muktza. Again, they're having a disagreement about the muktza angle of it, right? But not the carrying. That's for sure. Also, Vaz the Rava Latameh. The Rava goes according to his reason. The Rava have a kalzel beriska the mechuzah. Rava was going in the streets of mechuzah. It's vasa misani, and of course, what happens is his feet got dirty, right? His feet got muddy, yeah, and I'm sorry. It's vasa misane tina. His masani means his shoes. Tina means mud. His vasa means they got dirty. Also, shamek came his shamis, right? He had a shamis back then. He must have been a Rebbe. Rava must have been maybe Rava's Rebbe, right? Whatever. That's he was a Rebbe. Right, he has a shamis. Shokol chaspa. He took a piece of broken earthenware, the kamachaper, and he was wiping down his shoes. Right, his shoes are full of mud. So he took some earthenware and he was wiping it down. So Ramu Rabbanon Kala. The Rabbanon lifted up their voices. Right, Amar Allah Mistaya Deloy Gemiri. That's what he said. Not like Amar. He said Loy Mistaya Deloy Gemiri. It's not enough that the Rabbanan didn't learn like Gemiri Migmar. I'm sorry, like Gemiri. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Loy Mistaya the like Gemiri. It's not enough that the Rabbanan didn't learn. Migmar Nami Migmari. They're also teaching their mistake. Again, Rava's shoes got full of mud. His Gabe went and took a kli cheres, which we just had a Machlokes about whether you're allowed to move that or not, and started cleaning his shoes with it. So the Chachamim made a macha on him. So he said, not only can't the Chachamim learn, they're even teaching. They're teaching their lack of understanding to people. Right? If it was in a chatzar, we're allowing it to be moved. We're allowing the earthenware to be moved because you can use it to cover things over. To cover over a kli. This also is for me. I could also do something with it. I can use it to clean my shoes. So why are you saying that I can't use this in a carmelis or yeah? So in the carmelis, right? That was the street. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Megufas Chavis Shenichtasa Mutal L'Tal Shabbos. Megufas Chavis is a how do you say it? A stopper, right? A stopper of a barrel. The thing that you keep to make sure that the wine doesn't go out. So if that gets broken, Mutal L'Tal Shabbos, it's mutal to carry on Shabbos. Tani Nami Achi. Magufa shekatza he v'shoreh mutal l'tal b'Shabbos. If the magufa gets crushed up, it and its broken pieces are mutal to be carried on Shabbos. But you shouldn't use from it a piece in order to cover over. Right? You shouldn't fix a piece on Shabbos to be able to cover a kli with it, or to use it to put under the legs of a bed. Right? Why not? Because that's tikkun, right? That's tikkun, right? The lismach bakare mita, right? That's I said that. Vim zorka ba'ashpa aser. Oh, if you throw it into the garbage, though, once you throw these pieces into the garbage, then it's going to be aser. Correct? Why? Because once you throw things into garbage, then that becomes muktza, right? Like we said. Now the only reason why you're allowed to throw away muktza, throw away garbage, is because it's a graf shalrei, right? But it's not. But it will be muktza, which we're going to get more in a few more blocks. We're going to get to the muktza of garbage. Yeah.
Something like this.
What do you say?
If you've decided on something, this piece of earthenware, that it's garbage, in your head it's garbage, does it automatically become muktza machas gufay? But you have to actually throw it in.
If you just decided in your mind.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think you have to actually do a maisa. It's going to be a machlokes. Did we have it or we're going to have it? Right? It's actually a machlokes.
Yeah, before. So, right? The halach l'maisa, what's the...
Halach l'maisa, I think we say you have to be meyached. But I don't remember. I don't remember.
With a maisa? That's without a maisa.
With a maisa.
With a
no, maisa. With a maisa. But now that I'm saying it, I'm thinking maybe not. Okay, the kids are mice. I don't remember. That's the
That would
bottom
make a
line.
difference because with this you wouldn't get a hefter of grape eat. Just a piece
Correct,
of
and a
earthenware. There's
chanami.
nothing disgusting about it. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah. So maskef lo rapapa elamiyata zorakle leglime hachanami da aser. Right? If you throw anything out into the garbage, is that also going to make it aser? Right? Meaning, if you take your jacket and you throw it into the garbage, is that it? Now that jacket becomes muktza on Shabbos? How could that be? Right? You can just take the jacket out, right? One man's
Why? How could it be? You
garbage,
decided
one
that
man's
it's
treasure.
garbage.
I know you did,
How
but
could it be?
But why should it be? Because one man's garbage is another man's treasure, something like that, right? What's the
That
phrase?
could be the same thing with anything else.
No, if it's a broken kli, I don't know what somebody gonna do with it. Oh,
Tziyako,
yeah.
Dave Miller. You know the name Dave Miller? His wife is
From the
Myrna.
yeshiva?
Yeah, so he was the big woodworking company. He told him, Shlomo, and this is about 50 years ago, the both garbage pickup in Uptown Manhattan, where all the fancy apartment houses are, he would send his truck out at night, and his men would pick up furniture, and some of the furniture was stuff he made for these same people 20 years before, and he took it back to his shop, and they reworked it and redid it, and he sold it again.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If
what you
half the
said
things
was
that I
done.
put on my curb for the Lawrence pickup for the garbage, somebody comes and takes a broken bike. Somebody comes and takes the couch that I threw out that I've had for 20 years. Half the time things are taken.
So I think that's Gufa his kasha.
Right.
No? He's saying, so you can't throw it out. You ain't saying you throw it out. So why should it get, just because you threw it out doesn't mean that it should become more. I think that's Gufa the Gemara's kasha.
They
Right?
also had less garbage in Gemara's time. We throw things away very quick.
Hey, disposable
This is
generation.
the big.
Yeah.
This is the after moving garbage cans on Shabbos or Yom Tov. They're not
And a
muktza.
chanami, that's part of it. But that
They
we're
have
gonna
food
see
in
like
them.
that we're gonna see in like 10, 15 block. We're gonna get to that sugi. So El Amar Papa, Im Zarkami Ba'oid Yom La'ashba Asura. Right? Right? If she throws me Ba'oid Yom to the garbage and it's asur. Yeah, so Amar Baram Duri, Amar Shmuel, Kardami Shamachzelas, but now we know that's it. So that's what we're saying. If you throw it in the garbage from Friday, right, then you already revealed in your das that that doesn't have a din muksa. I mean, it has a din muksa because you have your Masiyah das from it. Meaning, if it was on Shabbos, you're not Masiyah das from it, right? So that's. But if you do it on Friday, then for sure you're Masiyah das. So Amar Baram Duri, Amar Shmuel, Krumi Shamachzelas, Mutul Tatal B'Shabbos. Like the end of what do you call machzelas is a mat, right? So the end of the mat has these little pieces. So if you take those little pieces off, those are mutter to take on Shabbos. My time. Amar Rava Bar Hamduri. Rava said Bar Hamduri Asberli. Bar Hamduri explained to me machzelas gufa l'may chazi l'ksuyvei afra. What are you going to do with what is a mat? What do you do with a mat anyways? So you cover it. You cover dirt with it, right? This also, you're going to use these little pieces to cover over any garbage. If you have some garbage on the floor, so you can use these pieces to cover it over. Someone was there, Rav, Shire Pruzmios also Lataltalon B'Shabbos. This Shire Pruzmios is these clothing. Yeah. These clothing that are the leftovers of the clothing, the decayed ones. Also, Shabbos, you're not allowed to take them to Shabbos. It has to be so small. These little pieces of torn up clothing has to be so small. It can't be more than 3 by 3, right? Because 3 by 3 tefachim, right? Like this, it's not roi ta'aniyim and it's not roi fashirim, so nobody could use it. So worn out clothing, you cannot. You can consider that.
Didn't we have something about that 3 by 3 tuma also?
Yes. I'm sorry, I said tefachim. It's 3 by 3 fingers. You're right. It's 3 by 3 fingers, not tefachim. Right? Because 3 by 3 tefachim an ani would use. It's big enough that it's 3 by 3 tefachim. That yes, parrots. We had this Gemara way back when. Very good. We had this Gemara way back when about this. Yeah. So Tana Rabbanan, Shivrei Tanur Yashon. Broken piece of an old oven is like any kalim that can be taken in the chatzah. Divra meir. Rav Yehuda Omer ein nitlin. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees, and he says, you're not allowed to take it. So, hey, Rabbi Yossi, B'Shem Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, al Shivrei K'tanu Yoshin Shanitl B'Shabbos. So Rabbi Yossi said, Eidos, B'Shem Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, that broken piece of a tanner can be taken on Shabbos. Val Kisu Yov She'ein Etzarech Beis Yad. And that the covers don't require a handle. But my commitment. So what bottom line is you have Machlokes where the broken pieces of an oven can be used or not. So what's the Machlokes? If you remember from the previous Mishna, we said that when broken pieces, do they have to be able to be used for anything, or do they have to be used specifically for something that the kli that it was broken off from came from, right? So that's what we think now is the machlokes with this oven. Again, whether you need these pieces to be able to do like the original malacha that the kli was supposed to do or not. They both go lefi their reasonings, which they have the machlokes in the Mishnah. If he's saying the same machlokes that they said in the Mishnah, so why do you have to come on to this more complicated case of breaking up an oven? Why don't you just say broken kalim? No, they're talking about broken pieces of a specific oven. If you take an oven and you put it on the opening of a bar or a dus, there's also some sort of hole, and you put a stone there in order to wedge it in. I don't think you could really understand this. The art scroll has a picture. Yeah, you have the picture, Naftali. Art scroll has a picture, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. 1 second. Backwards or not backwards?
Yes, backwards. Why is the shot in backwards?
Because it depends which way it faced, whatever. Here. Here's the picture.
Oh, we got two of them. We got Dr. Carey. Yeah, we got two pictures. You see it? So basically what it is, you have a hole in the ground, and then you put the fire, it's like a canister that you're wedging into the fire, into the ground. Okay, I think that's good enough, yeah? Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so then you put it into, you're wedging it into the ground, and what you're doing is that you want to make sure that the oven stays, the tighter it is, the more heat it's going to retain, and the better the oven's going to work, right? So they're having the machlokes about this. Nosno pia bar, right? Second line down. Second wide line down. Nosno pia bar, ayal hadus, but nosacham evan. So you put it in the opening. You put this canister in the opening, which is going to act as the walls of the oven, and you have the coals on the bottom of this hole, and then you wedge a little rock in it so that it stays solid. Rav Yehuda Omer, im masik milamata v'hu nizik milamala tamei. Right. So if you heat it up from the bottom and it's going to get heated up on the top, then it's tamei. The imlav, meaning when you heat it up in the bottom, it gets the top so hot, so then it's going to be tamei. The imlav, and if not, then it's going to be tar. Yeah, but chachamim ma'imrim hayol v'hosek mikol makom tamei. Since lamaisa it's heating up, right? Meaning, why should we differentiate between how hot it gets? He's saying lamaisa it's going to give some form of heat, this thing, so therefore it's going to become tamei either way. Meaning, point is it a useful kli or not? If it's not a useful kli, then it's not tamei. If it's a useful kli, then it becomes tamei. So when my committee, what's the machlokes? B'hai kra, they're arguing on a pasuk that says tana v'kraim yutatz. It says a tana v'kraim should be smashed, right? Tmeim heim or tmeim yu lachem. They are tmeim, and they're gonna remain tamei to you. Rabbi Yehuda savar mechusar netitza tamei. If it's as long as it's missing being smashed up, then it's tamei. She'ein mechusar netitza tar. But if it's not missing netitza, then it's going to be tar. But Rabbanan Sarvi Tmeim Yulachem Mikol Makom. It says Tmeim should be for you. That means Mikol Makom. But Rabbanan Nami Yoksiv Yutatz, meaning the Tanakama is coming from the angle is why is the Torah using a lashon of Yutatz? Why not just say broken? Right. So why is it saying that it has to be smashed? So he's saying therefore it's got to be teaching you something. So if it's missing smashing, then it's going to be tar. If it's not, then it's going to be tamei. Right? But in the Rabbanan saying, no, it's regular tamei. Right? And meaning as long as there's any sort of heat, it's going to be tamei. For Rabbanan nami yoksiv yutatz. But what did the Rabbanan do with the word yutatz? No, it goes for the other way around. That what? The salka daita chamina, I would have thought, kiva the chavrei ba'ara kagufa da'ara dami. Since it's attached to the ground, it has the status of the ground, and we know that anything that's attached to the ground is tamei, kamashmala, is not tamei. Anything attached to the ground is not tamei because it's mechuber l'karka. That's why a house doesn't become tamei, right? The most practical application of this like we discussed, is a woman seeing a stain on a toilet, right, which is attached to the house, it's just attached to the ground, so it's not tummy. So how come here, this oven, you stuck it into the ground, it's tummy? So you would think, taka, that it's not tummy, kamash malon, that even though it's attached to the ground, it's looked at as an independent entity, and it can become tummy. Okay, so what does Tanakama do with the pasuk Tamei Yulachem? The whole Machlokes is talking about with the first time you light the fire, meaning the first fire that you ever lit in this oven. Is it going to make a tummy or not? Aval behesek sheni, but the second time you use the oven, afilu tali b'tzavar gomel. Even if you're going to hang this oven on the neck of a camel, which there's nothing more portable than that, everybody's still going to hold that it's a kum tummy. Amar Ula, so Ula said, behesek rishon l'rabbanan afilu tali b'tzavar gomel. And according to the Chachamim, even the first time you use it, it has a din of a kli, and therefore, even if you hang it on a camel, it's going to become tummy. Yeah. So maskav Ravashi Yochi had the mefliga b'shivrei tanur lifligo b'tanur gufa. Right. If you're having a machlokes by broken kelim, why don't you have the machlokes by the tanur itself? Hashta tanur gufa l'Rav Yehuda lo yahavi mana shvarim mibai. If the tanur itself is not considered a kli according to Rabbi Yehuda and doesn't become tummy, so the broken piece of the kli, do I have to even ask? So then that it doesn't make sense that they're arguing about the tumah status of the actual oven. So then you might as well just have it about the shvarim. Really? So now we're chayzer. So if the olam didn't chop this, so it's okay because we're chayzer totally from these last 15 lines, right? So we say really it's the way we said at the beginning. Right? It's talking about where I could have used a picture for this too, but there's no picture. I checked the art, so there's no picture for this. Right? It's talking about where you put it. Tafka means you put like tiles. That's the way the art school teaches it. It's tiles, right? Meaning you put down these tiles and you put the bread on top of the tiles, and then you put the fire under the tiles, right? So that's what it's talking about. Yeah. Rav Meir l'tvar of the Rabbi Yehuda Kamer, and Rav Meir is going in the words of Rabbi Yehuda. L'didi afilu ba'isen me'ein melacha. According to me, even if you do it similar to the melacha, it's fine. Ela d'itach idoli mias, but you should be minded to me the b'hai gavna melachtayu. Here it's considered similar to the old melacha, right? It's an oven. It's heating up an oven. It's heating up food. Isn't that similar to the old thing? And therefore, it should be fine. Rabbi Yehuda loydami. Rabbi Yehuda says no, it's not similar. Hasam haseika mibifnim. There by the oven, right? Where does the heat come from? It gets heated from the inside. Hacha haseika mibachutz. Here it gets heated from the outside. Hasam umar hacha lam umar. And there it's standing, right? And meaning where do you put the dough? When you cook the original oven, where are you putting the dough? You're slapping it onto the walls of the oven. That's how you made bread back then, right? That's why we said there's a whole issue with scraping the bread off on Shabbos, right? Here, lamum, and here the way you're baking the bread is on top of like what do they call those things? They make pizza on it. A pizza stone, right? A pizza stone, right? Yeah. So therefore, he's saying that is not similar. Even though this new oven, you're taking broken pieces and you're baking bread with it. Rabbi Yehuda says that's not similar to the.
Well, like we make on a griddle. If you have a griddle and you have a flame under the griddle, like a takeout deli, then that's when you make the eggs and the home fries on top.
I hear right. So, okay, so that
it's
right.
Different. It's a wood fire oven. They used to put wood. They used to burn the wood in the middle, and then they'd push it to the sides so that the stone.
Thank you very much. I know it's different. I was just using it as an example.
Right, but that's not what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So it's. But the bottom line is, what's the bottom line of the Gemara? So Rabbi Yehuda is saying that that's not considered similar to original. So meaning the Machlokes is like this: these broken pieces are you from an oven bakes bread. Good. So I'm taking these broken pieces and I'm baking bread a little different way. So Rameir says that's similar to the original way he was doing it. I mean, I baked bread in the original oven. Now it got broken, and I'm still baking bread with it. Rabbi Yehuda says no. The way you're baking the bread this way is totally different. Right? It's totally different. So therefore, you can't have that. Okay. So hey, Rabbi Yossi Mishum Rabbi Elazar. What do you say?
The Tanakama on the Mishna on Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis, the last Mishna.
Yeah.
We're saying now that the Tanakamas are mayor?
That's what seems the Gemara is saying. Yeah. Oh?
Yeah, just
Yeah, say
usually would say Rabbanan.
that's the last thin line. Can you turn on the
Yeah,
outside?
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So why does the Mishnah not say it's Rameir?
Yeah.
You're not going to say Stam Mishnah ka Rameir because it's not a Stam. I mean, I get maybe. Do you say Stam Mishnah like that when there's somebody's chaylik on him?
Not usually.
Right. So I don't know. Okay,
And the
but
Gemara usually
clearly
says the words Rabbanan rather than, even if we knew it was Rameir, the Mishnah would say Rabbanan.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. Okay, so weiter. Hey, Rabbi Yossi Mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov al Shivrik Tanur Yoshin Shnidl b'Shabbos al Kisuv She'enet Tzarich Beis Yad. Right. So this is just a quote. Why the Gemara decides to quote this whole thing? It's not a quote from the Mishnah. It's a quote from the previous Gemara. Right. So Rabbi Yossi said the Eidos Shem Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov on broken, old broken oven that you're allowed to take it on Shabbos, and on the covers that it doesn't need a handle in order to be able to consider the cover. Not muktza, it doesn't need a handle. Some of a commandment to lean on a kisi de tanure, the masa machsia, the einlam beis achiza. Who do we go like that in the mata machsia? That's the name of a town. We use covers of kalim, right? We use covers of kalim that don't have a handle. It's like Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov, right? Okay. The Mishnah, yeah. Ha'evan should be kiruya. This is an interesting. This is an interesting Mishnah, yeah. That Evan Shebi Kiruya. I mean, not so much interesting. It has a lot to do with buses of what you're allowed to carry on Shabbos, what you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos. Muktza was. So Evan Shebi Kiruya, a stone that's in a basket, meaning the way they used the baskets back then. They needed to fill up water from the well. Problem is, how are you getting the basket to sink? So what they would do is they would take a rock, put it into the basket, and that would sink the water all the way down to the bottom, right? So the question is now, is that muktza? Because there's a rock in it. Is that basket that you're lowering the water down into the well, is that muktza now or not? So it depends how solid, how strong, I mean not strong, but how tight that rock is in the basket. So Evan Shabi Kiruya, a stone that's in a basket, in Mamalinba, in a fellas, Mamalinba. If you fill up the water in the basket, or in the bucket, I'm sorry, right? And the stone always stays in it, so then Mamalinba, then you're allowed to use it on Shabbos. But if not, then you're not allowed to use it on Shabbos. Yeah, that's one case. Myra, grapevine, sheik shura b'tefiach, that's tied on, right? That's tied on to a tefiach, to also to a type of bucket. Malam b'Shabbos, Shabbos, you are allowed to use it to fill up on Shabbos. Yeah, pekaka chaloin. So then this is a different case. So pekaka chaloin. That's the window, a thing that closes up the window. If it's tied on and it's hanging, then you're allowed to use it to stop up the window. And if not, you're not allowed to, right? Yeah, why? Because it looks like baina, right? Looks like baina. Yeah, so if it's tied on, it doesn't look like it's baina because it looks like it's part of the building. Right, but if not, then you're not allowed to. When the Chum say they're not worried about it, which we can see in the Gemara why they're not worried about it, but they say it's not a problem. Fine. So now, Tanan Hassam, we learned the Mishnah over there. Evan Sha'al Piachavis. So if you have, let's say you have a barrel, and there's a stone on top of the barrel. You want to take out your wine on Shabbos. The problem is there's a stone on there. So now the stone is muktza. So what's the deal with that? So Evan Sha'al Piachavis, Mata Altzida Vinafel. So what you could do is you lean the barrel, knock off the rock, and then you can carry the barrel. That's only if you forgot the stone on top of it. But if you purposely put the stone on top of the basket, then like we learned before, that's considered a basis. It's a base of davar asur, which we said before. Anything that a muktza is sitting on, the thing that it's on retains the status of the muktza. Right, so therefore, if you have a rock, but what the Gemara is saying now is that, but that's only if you specifically put the rock on top of it, put the muktza on top of it. If somebody just forgot it on there, then it's not a problem, right? So here, that's what we're saying here. That you're allowed to pick up the basket and tilt off the rock. That's only if you forgot the rock on there. But if you purposely put the rock on there, then it retains the whole barrel becomes muktza. and therefore you're not allowed to do this. What's your problem, Gershon?
Why doesn't the barrel become a basis davar aser and davar amutzer for the wine? Why are we considering the wine a part of the barrel as far as the stone is concerned?
Yeah, so I think the pshat is here because it's part of the base, no?
The wine doesn't have to be there. You could have left the rock there if the wine
No,
wasn't in the
if you
barrel.
if you had wine on top of the barrel, wine and a rock on top of the barrel, then yeah, but now here the barrel itself, right?
Why? Why is it different?
That's
If
what
the
I
wine
thought.
is inside the barrel, the rock's on top. So what? The chavis is a basis. Is the chavis? The barrel is whole wine and it's holding a rock. Just because one's inside and one's outside, it should make a difference.
That's why I understood it, but I don't. It could be I'm wrong.
So that the compartmented thing again for the pistachios that we spoke about 2 nights ago.
Right. So, but there it's together. There it's together on top.
Yeah, but
no?
if I have two compartments, one is inside and one is on top, then it would make a difference if the shells go inside or on top. If the shells are on top, then the pistachios on the bottom are buses for the shells now.
Right.
That doesn't.
Oh, you're saying no, but there it's all
both
part.
things.
I hear. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it. I hear. But anyway, so what the Gemara is saying is that it's only if you forgot the rock on it. If you didn't forget it, then it's a bus of Rav Yosef Amar Rav Asi Amar Rav Yochanan Lo Shano Ela B'Sheicheach. He says the opposite. This is only if you forgot it. If you forgot it on there, so it doesn't belong there, so then it becomes muktza. But if you left it on there, what are you putting a rock on top of your barrel for? You're putting a rock on top of your barrel because you want it there to act as a cover. If it's a cover is not muktza. Right? So Amar Rabba, Masvina Nashmaitzin, right? We have a kasha on our Gemara. Ha'evan Shabikiruya, right? We're going to ask on this barrel from our Mishna. A stone that's inside a bucket, in Mamalin Bavain and Efelis Mamalin. If you could fill up the water and the rock doesn't fall out, you're allowed to use it. Right? And the question that we thought we had, meaning, why are you allowed to do that? The rock is inside the bucket. We're saying if the rock doesn't fall off the bucket, it's allowed. so to here, you pick up this barrel and it has a rock on top. The rock's not going to fall off. So what's the problem? And that's not a kasha. Also, keep it the hadka shavi doifen. There, since you made it tight, since the rock is tight, right, in the bucket, so therefore it's considered part of the wall. Here, the rock is just sitting on top of the barrel, so that you can't say that it gets a din of the barrel. Some Rav Yosef and Masmina Nashmaitzin. Rav Yosef says we could say from the next part of the Mishnah, Im lav ein malin ba. If not, then you're not allowed to lift it, right? And then we say that's not a kasha either. Hasam kiven deloy hadka betule batla. Since he didn't attach the rock to the bucket, so therefore if the rock is going to float, therefore it's considered batal. But my commitment. So what is this Machlokes? Mar Sabrabin and Maisa. Mar holds you need a Maisa in order to make the stone part of the bucket. You need to do a Maisa. Mar Sabrabin and Maisa, and the other Manover holds no, you don't need to do a Maisa. Wazal Tamayu. And they go with their pshat. If he also Rav Dimi Omer Rav Chanina, V'Armi Lo Omer Rav Zeira Omer Chanina, Pam Achas Halach Rebbe L'Mokem Echad. Right? Rebbe went to a place. Matzim Nidbach Shalavonim. He found a pile of stones. V'Amar LeTalmidav Tzu V'Chishvu K'dei Shenei Shevaleim L'Mocher. Go think about it, so that we should be able to sit on them tomorrow. Right? V'Lo Yitzrichan Rebbe L'Maisa, and Rebbe did not require them to do anything to this pile of stones. He just said, go outside and think about it, right? But Rabbi Yochanan, now I don't understand, why couldn't Rebbe think about it himself? Right? If all they had to do was think about it, also why do they have to go outside for it? Just think about it from where you are, right? Okay, I don't know. Rabbi Yochanan, it's Tzrichan Rebbe L'Maisa. Rabbi Yochanan said, no, Rebbe, so now we have Machlokes, exactly what went on there. One said Rebbe just told them to go out and do it, and Rabbi Yochanan says, no, he made them do a Maisa. My Amalu, Rabbi Ami. What did he say to him? Amar tzu v'lamdum. Go out and line them up, right? I think that's the way to teach it. He taught tzu v'lamdum Amalu. He said, go out and set them up straight, Rabbi Asi Amar Tu for Shifshifum. Go out and actually, you have to do a maisa to the stone. Scrape it. Yeah, scrape it. Amalu Itmar. Sham Tu for Shifshim Amalu. He said, right. So we have Machlokes Rav Ami and Rav Asi whether what exactly Rebbe told him to do, either set up the stones or scrape them. Itmar Rabbi Yosef Mishal Omer Savar Shalkairis Hava. It wasn't rocks. It was like a whole thing of beams. It was the thing that you use. We had this a bunch of weeks ago. When the boat comes up near land, so you use a stick to feel the ground to make sure the boat doesn't run up on dry land, right? So that's what this thing was that Rebbe was asking them to move, or to make not muktza. The one that says that it was a boat thing, if that were, you can make not muktza, right? So then kol shekain, the savar, for sure, the beams you can make it not muktza. But the one that says that it was beams, that's tafka beams. That carpet, a person is going to be much more makpid on this stick that you use for a boat. It's a much more specialized thing than beams. So therefore, he would be much more careful with that. Okay, Smart Shikshura, right? So what do we call it? A grapevine that's tied. Right? Kshura in, like Kshura loy, is it only if it's tied on, right? Meaning only if you tie the grapevine to the bucket, right? But like Kshura loy, but if it's not tied on, you can't do it. Let's say the Mishna is not like Rav Shimon Gamliel. Tanya Charoya Shal Dekel Shikud and Leitzim. Let's say you have a bunch of how do you touch Charoya Shal Dekel? If you have branches of a date tree, right? And you use it, you're really meant to cut it off for firewood. But Nimlach Alei and Liyeshiva, and you change your mind, you decide you want to use them for a bench. Tzarech Liksha, you have to actually tie them up, meaning, because you have to do Gersh, this is what you asked me before, right? You have to actually tie them up to do a maisa in it in order to make them no longer muktza. Again, you cut them down that they should be firewood. That's muktza for Shabbos. Now you want to use them as a chair. That's not muktza, but you have to do something. You have to do a physical thing to them. Rav Shimon Gamliel Aimer, Rav Shimon Gamliel ain't tzarech liksha. You don't need to tie it. Yeah.
I was really talking about the other way around.
What? Yeah, I'm saying
the opposite, making something muktzah.
You're trying to do with just the machshava. Some of Sheish, afilu tem Rav Shimon Gamliel, right? So we can even say here's someone Rav Shimon Gamliel again. Rav Shimon Gamliel says you don't have to tie it. So how come here in our Mishnah it's saying that you do have to tie it? So
maybe Gershon, maybe you could be like that Israeli Yuri Geller and move the spoon without touching it.
I don't know if it's yeah. Okay, so well, you're not really moving it. You just want to make a machshav on it. Yeah, okay. So Amar Rav Sheish afilu tem Rav Shimon Gamliel. You could even say it's Rav Shimon Gamliel. Hacham hayaskina b'mechubaris ba'aviyah, where it's still attached to its father. The literal translation is the father, right? Yeah, meaning you still have this grapevine is still attached to to where it grows from, right? So there he's saying when it's still attached, you have to do a maisa. You can't just go over to a tree and use a tree on Shabbos, right? So you have to do a maisa to make it show that it's no longer part of the tree. So by taking the grapevine and tying it onto the bucket before Shabbos, then that would be enough. But to just think about it, then that's not going to work. Oh, so what's the kasha? If that's the case and it's still attached, we know that you're not allowed to use something that's attached to the tree. We were just saying from muktza angle, but what about? I mean, it's muktza, but the you're not allowed. There's a gezerah d'Rabbanan. You're not allowed to use a tree, right? So here you're using a tree that's attached to the ground. So we say lamata migimel. It's below 3 tefachim. So therefore, if it's below 3 tefachim, you're allowed to. This is why I get the shaila a couple times this summer. Can you get a tree trunk? Can you sit on a tree trunk that's broken? Right? You have them around randomly in the country. Right? So as long as it's less than 3 tefachim, the tree trunk, as long as it's less than 3 tefachim, that does not have a din of a tree, and therefore you're allowed to sit in it. So here too we're saying that this grapevine was below 3, so therefore you're allowed to use it. Rav Ashi Amar afilu teim v'tzlusha gzeira shemi yiktaim. Right? This is the Rav Ashi saying you could even say that somehow where it was detached, the grapevine was detached, but the gzeira will make a gzeira that if you're going to allow a guy to use a detached grapevine, right? Then we might add, I'm sorry, it's attached, but the reason why it's a problem, the reason why you have to tie it on is because we're afraid that you're going to cut it off, right? It's because you could very easily decide to cut it off, right? So therefore, that's the gezerah, and therefore it's and therefore you have to tie it on like this. You know that it's the right size. Okay, we actually finished on time. Should we do the next one? No, so we'll wait for that for tomorrow. All right. I hope the Olam has an easy fast if that's what you're supposed to have.
I'm sure.
Let's see how many questions I got about. Let me see. I'm just leaving off with this, and then I'm signing off. Let me see how many people I got text. Can they eat in these restaurants? Let's see. I know for sure I saw on my watch a couple. What? All right. And my answer is I don't know.
Should we read anything into the fact that you and your brother are not on that paper?
I never sign on anything.
No.
Never.
So what about your brother?
I have no idea.
He also tries not to.
I will not discuss anything with anybody because it just leads to Lashon Hara, so I am out. That's
The
all.
last thing with the tree stumps.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference if it's ground or not? In other words, if you chop a tree down and you want it not to grow, you grind the stump. So if the stump is ground, is that still considered something mechuber l'karka, or is that karka? You can sit on the ground.
If you ground it up, I don't see what you're saying.
No, you grind it to stop it growing again.
The top of the stump.
You mean you kill the tree? You're saying you kill the tree?
Yeah. You kill the tree. Once it's killed, it's like, is it still something that's a tree, or is it considered karka already?
I know there's something out there. There is a halacha out there. If the tree is no longer useful, it doesn't have the gezerah anymore. But I don't remember what exactly the parameters are. I have to check my notes. Yeah? All right, fine. Sei gesund, everybody. Feel good.
All good.